Okay, back in the train room, doing more bits on the layout. In this video, I'm going to look at the control station, the actual unit itself, where all the controllers are going to go for the command station, and also going to look at building a new area to put a scenic town on, quite a big area, and also create a tunnel, and maybe a few more bits. Okay, back down here to the control station. I want something that represents the controls on the inside of a loco. So what I'm going to do is make a slightly slanted wooden ply box that I can then cut two panels in and then custom make those on the laser for whatever controls that I decide to put in. So that's the basic principle. So what I'm going to do now is go away, glue all that together, pin it all together. The inside of a loco tends to be like grey, but I may do that black and then the cut out panels grey. Not quite sure yet on that, but I'll make my mind up when I'm painting it. Okay, I've glued and nailed that together, let it dry overnight. I've got a little bit of sanding off to do, and then I'm going to paint it black, and then I can make, similar to that there, bespoke panels for the controllers, switches, whatever I need on there. Drill through the bottom, and then any cables can run out. So yeah, quite happy with that. Obviously fix all that together. This will be the control side with the screen to the PC, and then there the DCC controllers, because I want some manual controllers rather than just running it through the computer. Okay, that's had a coat of satin black. Again, probably a couple of coats, bit of sanding in between. I think that's going to work fine. Okay, over this side of the layout, I've built here, which is sort of like the entrance, but also a bit of a viewing gallery where you can look down onto the layout and the station. And also I've got here the four main lines that run through. So what I'm going to do next is create a backdrop to the station and also a tunnel. So I'm going to put a platform in across there that again we can build up with a town scene, a backdrop to the station, and then at the end put portals in and use this as a tunnel. Then what we can do is make it so that these sections can be lifted out, maybe make it in 2 or 3 sections. So one, it'll allow access to get underneath without lifting the whole piece up. And 2, if I want to work on an area, I can take it out, take it away to a workbench and then work on it there and then just replace it. But I think if I can get some height in there, that'll give a nice backdrop to the station. And also, of course, I like the tunnels. So yeah, let's get that baseboard cut in. Okay, I've secured a couple of 3x2 battens either side of the main line, and then I've cut out of 18mm ply so that it comes up basically flush with this platform, and I've done it out of 18mm just so it's you know, a bit more robust without a structure underneath, because what I'll do is I've maybe 2 finger holes where I can lift these, in the end, probably 2 sections out. Let's just offer this up. Okay. I'm going to run those 2 battens to the end. I may even go a little bit further yet, I'm not quite sure. Maybe chop that board in half and have the same length again, so that I'm clear of the point should I need to get to them. But that'll give me a great space to put a backdrop 3D Scenic on there. Again, I can design all that, but if I do 2 holes in there, 2 holes in there, and slice that through the middle, I can just lift that section out. You know, if I have a derailment or whatever underneath, still just lift that out, do whatever I need to do, drop that back in. And as I said before, even go and work on these Scenics away from the layout. Okay, I think that's going to work. Okay, look at it from this side. Again, I can paint a backdrop onto there and then have a 3D landscape on there, which will look really good. I'll probably bring it to around about here where the points start underneath. I think that'll be enough. But yeah, make a decision on that later. Maybe just angle that across to there. That'll give me loads of room to give some the real feel and the depth to the layout, and some great opportunity for some scenics. So yeah, pleased with that. Just while I'm here over at the station, as it starts to take shape now, albeit not in detail, but how this whole layout could look, how the platforms look, and as I spoke about last time, Bedford Station, somebody pointed out to me that the platforms may not be to scale. Well, this wood is really only meant as a representation, but actually I don't think it's going to be too far out. So I've got one of those 4mm to 1 foot scale rulers, and across those 2 platforms is 22 feet. So I need to check out the exact widths and everything. I had made these previously on the laser cutter, which again are a similar size to these anyway. I've just left holes underneath so I could join more together and then run some cables through. But that's obviously that's sitting on the track, but that's a very similar height. I could also use these and put a face panel on. Not 100% decided on that yet, but I will double check all those measurements and make sure they're correct, and look at how the platform looked in 1970s, 80s, as opposed to how it is now. I'm sure I can find photos. I am going to plan a visit to Bedford to take some photos and check all this detail out, because although I don't want it to be an exact replica, I want it to have that feel. I want somebody who would recognise Bedford Station to go, oh yeah, that looks like Bedford. Okay, so those 3 boards are cut. I've still got a bit of fettling to do to make them fit nicely and work out exactly where I'm going to put the holes to lift them out and stuff. But they're 3 75cm pieces, so 2 meters 20 odd 25 of scenic space at the back of the train station. Just to give you a little sense of scale, I printed some of these up on the 3D printer ages ago while I was just experimenting. So let me just plonk that there. It gives room for rows of streets, a park, a cemetery, whatever I want to do in the back there. It's not going to be realistic because it's I don't actually know what was there in the 70s, assuming a lot of it was fields, but it has now moved to more modern housing, but of course that doesn't fit in with my era. So I'm probably going to have some rows of terrace houses and stuff. Maybe a few larger, taller things like a church or whatever, just to give some height and depth to that seam, but yeah, that's all good. So again, I'm going to paint all those grey, so I've got the starting point, and I think over the next couple of weeks or so I'm going to get this 100% measured out, fixed in place, primed, ready to go for laying track and then building the station, you know, the finishings. To show you again from this angle, again there's a little row of terraces. Get a couple of cars in place. Again, this was all done in 4mm scale. Gives you a little sense of the space that we've got here to play with. Okay, at the throat of the station here, and if anybody can give me some help here or any ideas of how I can design my point work around this area. So 2 tracks are going to go all the way around across the bridge, one up, one down, and this line there is a through line. So I have split it off here, and again I've got to go straight onto the track on this side of the platform and then split down into 2 further ones there. So I need to work that point work out, and of course I also need the ability to get from this through line across onto the far line, even though it is going to continue round. And then at the other end we've got a 6th track here, which is just a local shuttle run in reality, but 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks have got to then condense down into those 2, one up, one down, and of course you've got to be able to swap between those 2 tracks. So if you're bringing a loco in on the through line, but it needs to go into the far track, then of course I need the ability to come across there as well as come back again. So just some ideas on that before I go into any rail and give it a go myself. I'm no expert, and there are a lot of people out there that have got some great ideas and a lot of knowledge on this stuff. So if anyone does want to help, it would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay, that's another video all wrapped up. Thank you again for watching. It's good to be back and good to be in the train room again. Looking forward to doing some of the Scenics now, a bit of a break from everything else probably. And it's good that I've made that. My plan is to make all the Scenics modular, so I can just take them out, take them away, and go and work on them in another area that's probably better suited to working on the finer detail, then just bring them back and slot them into place. So that's probably something that I'm going to work on in the background. Again, really appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing, interacting, and I'll see you again soon.